Hi, everybody. How's it going? This is actually part of a new series I'm doing called Love and Relo. Love and Relo is something I like to play with because I think this business is all about people, and that's what's really intriguing to me, who happen to be in the relocation industry. So I'm actually going to kind of lead with that and to Love and Relo, talking to people who are thought leaders and movers and shakers in the biz, and kind of get a feel for what the trends are in the industry. So I've gone ahead and created this platform for that. Today's topic is 2020. It's 12 days away from the new year. And I think we need to start thinking a little bit about what the future holds, right? This is the time of year when a lot of us create resolutions. And I think it's important to understand a little bit about where we're going as an industry. And the moving industry specifically is going to be disrupted quite a bit in the coming years. And I want to look out maybe like 10 years and say, okay, where are we going to end up? So I've got a couple people logged in here. If you're on, give me a shout just to let me know you're there. And I also really want to hear questions. So if you've taken the time out of your day to be here right now, please let me know. Please leave me a question. Please also offer any of your bold predictions. If there's something about where we're heading as a moving industry, a relocation industry, I'd like to see it in the comments. I'd like to be able to respond and keep this interactive. So please let me know what you're seeing there. And I think I'm on just a touch of a delay here. There we go. All right. So we got 12 people on right now. Okay, cool. Yeah, hit that like button, smash that like button, or the thinking button, or the light bulb if I actually say anything smart. We'll see what happens. Hey, big shout out real quick. I always like to start this off too. People send me cool stuff. I got my cool the Gross Up coffee mug. Shout out to my boy Tommy, and thank you, Bill Mulholland. Got tired of seeing my styrofoam solo cups. So if you think there's anything I need to have, please do send it my way. And anyway, yeah. So please leave a comment or a question, and let's get involved. And then let's talk about a few things. Couple things going on right now in the industry that are super hot right now is there's a bill in California called AB5. AB5 is basically a legislative bill that passed in September, I believe. It's taking effect January 1st, which is going to impact all like gig workers and contractors. And they're going to, I think this was kind of like set forth regarding kind of Uber and Lyft drivers, but it really takes a whole bunch of people under consideration now. And one of the big people or populations that's impacting is drivers and transportation drivers of all types, including moving drivers, right? So what a lot of people don't know is that most over-the-road owner-operator long-haul moving drivers are actually owner-operators, which means that they own their tractor. The trailer is leased to them or given to them from their agency, and they own their rig, and they're 1099 workers. So they are not employees. They do not receive, in most cases, health benefits. They usually pay for their own workers' comp and other types of insurance like that. And this bill, a lot of people believe, will now require those companies to convert their driver force into employees. Part of the, here, I'm going to play with this little ticker here. Let me see if I can do this. Part of the impact to that is going to be projected a 15 to 20% increase in the cost of that labor. Why is that? Because now companies are required to pay payroll taxes. They are required to pay health insurance and other benefits on these employees. So you can see that increase probably in the cost of that labor. So anyway, so that's kind of interesting. And then what happens is California tends to be like the first state to do things, and then when they do things, other states start to follow. And one of the states that's looking at this now, New York and New Jersey, are now looking at this possibly, and they are saying, okay, well, if we wanted to adopt something similar, how would that work? That starts to show you how fast those dominoes can fall. So if California does it, New York does it, New Jersey does it, what other states may follow suit? And then when a certain amount of states do it, then it pretty much de facto becomes the standard. We saw this back in the day with the California Air Review Board, CARB, it was called. CARB rolled out the first emission standards, stringent emission standards, and then the rest of the country followed that. So, so when CARB rolled out, what happened, the impact that we saw is a lot of drivers whose trucks, whose tractor trailers were not CARB compliant, could not go into the state of California. Because they couldn't go into the state of California, they couldn't accept shipments out of California. That means they also probably would not go to places like Arizona, Nevada, Oregon, Washington State, because bordering California, you kind of get sucked into California because it's such a major economy, and they couldn't risk it. So they really wouldn't go west of the Rockies a lot of times. And then when the U.S. rolled out basically that every tractor trailer had to be CARB compliant, that's when you started to see things start to kind of become regular, become normalized again. So so that's something that I think we need to be cognizant of, is the fact that that owner operators are going to be impacted by this AB5 ruling, and the question becomes, is the rest of the country going to adopt the same AB5 regulations? So as we look at what does moving look like in 10 years from now, I'm going to say that the owner operator contractor 1099 model is not going to be here in 10 years. That is one of my first bold prediction, is that contractors are going away. I believe that a lot of people are going to say, Ben, you're crazy. Yeah, I am crazy, but these things are not mutually exclusive. I think that it's going to go away. I think that you're going to see company drivers instead of owner operators. There's been a huge driver shortage, as we talked about ad nauseum. People are sick of hearing about it. The reason there's a driver shortage is because we're asking people who just want to drive a truck for a living to become a business owner. And that's very onerous and burdensome for a lot of people, becoming a business owner. And so they can't do it. And they just want to show up and drive your truck. They don't want to actually go out and buy a tractor, which may cost anywhere from $20K to $120K. They don't want to have to even in some cases buy a trailer, which these household goods trailers can be 50, 60K. They don't want to take on that responsibility and pay for all their insurances and things like that. They just want to, they just want a job. They just want a $20 an hour CDLA job, or pay per mile. And so what I'm seeing is the companies that are being successful and growing within the moving industry are oftentimes local moving companies. You obviously see your 2-minute trucks, you see your All My Sons, you see the college hunks, you see, these types of companies, you move me's and things like that, who have started to sprout up, and these large franchise systems of local moving companies, while you've seen the large national van lines start to contract and not be able to invest and see the return on their investment. And so when I kind of look at the large van lines contracting and I look at the small local movers expanding, I think I'm seeing kind of a tipping point where you're going to see small local movers branch out into long distance moving and kind of start to haul regionally. And you're going to see the long haulers start to contract and a lot of times go out of business or consolidate. That brings me to my next bold prediction in the moving industry, is that the moving industry, I believe, in 10 years will look a lot more like local moving companies with freight capabilities long distance, and a lot less like over the road owner operators who do irregular routes all over the country. Part of this is because shipment sizes are going down. So when shipment sizes go down to 5,000 pounds and you're looking at 28,000 pounds fitting on a tractor trailer, 28,000 pounds, that's 5 shipments on that trailer. It's a lot more difficult to plan that, to keep it full, to keep it running efficiently, to meet customer expectations for pickups and drop-offs. And so, I think you're going to start seeing them start to consolidate these using containerization programs, using loose load programs, even, large containers, like 53-foot intermodals, 40-foot sea containers, things like that, and just perform OADA services, which is something that's more like the international model that you see overseas. But I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this. So first of all, can you hear me? If you're watching this and I just want to do an audio check, can you hear me? Can you leave a comment saying you can hear me over here? That'd be super helpful. I'm going to drop a little hello in the comments box over here. Just want to make sure I got 21 people, looks like, chimed in here, tuning in. See you all here. Awesome. I'm going to take a moment here to say what's up to everybody. Michael James, hey, how's it going? Joanne, welcome back to Detroit. Ryan Ledbetter, nice. Hey, Ryan. Jerry, awesome. All right, Marcia, Tanya. Hey, Tanya. Hope Seattle's treating you well. Danielle. All right, thanks for leaving a little like. All right, awesome. Let me know if you can hear me. Can you leave a comment over here? I'm not seeing my comments coming up here. So let me see. I'm going to go back here and just make sure I got my comments straight. Yeah, right here. Okay. I see Tanya left a comment. Here we go. All right. There's Tanya's comment. All right. Alan, call me. Okay. Future said our industry will be moving people to Mars someday. Well, I guess, what? Supply and demand, right? If people demand to go to Mars, they're going to Mars, right? And then what's a mover? Is a mover a person with a truck, or is a mover a person with a spaceship? Is Elon Musk become the mover of the future? All right. Bobby Crisp. What's up, Bobby? It's been a while. Michael James, just can hear you. Okay, awesome. Loud and clear. Matt, thank you. Sarah, awesome. Leave comments. I also want to hear some questions or what your philosophies and theories are. So we talked about a couple. We talked about the going away of the long distance owner operator. We talked about the subsequent kind of localization of moving companies. Also, local moving is year round. Long distance moving is highly seasonal. Long distance moving is really about when the kids are out of school. That's when, transactions pick up in home sales over the summer. That's what triggers then moving, relocation, all of it. So, what I'm seeing is that seasonality is hard to sustain. You can't keep a year-round workforce when your demand is seasonal. And you can't. Anybody with a finite fleet, anybody in yield management or fleet management will tell you can't staff to the peaks. You have to kind of really staff to the valleys and be able to plus up from there. So you're never able to handle the peak volume and capture the full revenue opportunity. So point being is you can't keep a full crew on board year round for work that only happens 3 months out of the year. So again, I think that's when local moving is really where people start to focus. I think my third thing here is because of all of that, I think you're going to you're going to continue to see a lot of consolidation. So over the next 10 years, we've seen a lot. We're going to see a lot more. I mean, to the point where right now I would estimate there's probably 5 major van line systems in the country. A couple of those are actually co-owned, right? So United, Mayflower, North American, Allied. You also have Wheaton and Beacons, right? So you're starting to see some of that going on. You're going to see further consolidation to the point where, due to the cost of COD customer acquisition with lead aggregators and Google AdWords and things like that, driving the customer acquisition way up, you're going to start to see companies start to consolidate, start to do mergers and acquisitions in order to achieve that scale that's sustainable. So it wouldn't surprise me to see another consolidation of a couple more van lines. And then I think so. Then you're going to have some long haul players, and you're going to have some local players like the 2-minute trucks and the other franchises I described before. And I think the local movers are going to win. I think they're small. I think they're nimble. I think that their margins are higher. Now, they don't run as profitably as the owner-operator model, but I do think that because they have higher margins with employees versus owner-ops, if they can run that efficiently with technology, I do think that they may win. They also tend to be younger, newer to the game, hungrier, more aggressive. More smarter about advertising and technology. So I think that starts to win after 10 years. And as they mature and understand how to run long distance, I think that makes a lot of sense. I also think they tend to run 26-foot straight trucks. So if you look at what does a van line agent run, they run primarily 53-foot tractor trailers. Local moving companies run typically 26-foot straight trucks. Well, when shipment sizes shrink, as I was talking about before, that 26-foot straight truck makes a lot more sense. And as you can put fewer shipments on, it seems like it's less efficient because you're putting fewer pounds per driver. But in reality, you're also turning things faster. So you're meeting customers' higher expectations, which brings me to another huge bold prediction. And I don't even know if this is truly a bold prediction. I think that this is something we already know, but it's the on-demand culture that we live in now, right? So if I order something from Amazon, I can receive it today or tomorrow. If I want to stream a movie that just got released yesterday that's still in theaters, I can do that. So customers aren't really okay with not knowing when their stuff's going to get picked up. They're not okay with not knowing when their stuff's going to get dropped off, not knowing where it is in transit. Just all of these things that I think have been typical of the long distance moving industry. Customers just don't have a high tolerance for it. So now when you see companies that are running 26-foot straight truck fleets, being able to put a shipment on today and deliver a shipment tomorrow and not have to consolidate a lot of shipments, customers like that. They understand that, and I think that they're going to start, betting on and putting their money with those types of companies. I think those companies are going to win business. So I think that's, I think that's something really important. I think that's just going to continue to get more, more prevalent. Let's see, Tanya, thoughts about auto shipping in the next 10 years? Will we shift to driverless cars? And will there be more shared economy, Uber, Lyft, and less personal ownership? So, Tanya, yes. Yes. Short answer, yes. I think what's going to happen in auto shipping is going to be reflective of the second part of your question, which is, are we even going to own cars? Like in 10 years, are we going to own cars? I don't believe so. I have a son who's 4.5 years old. I don't believe he's going to ever have a driver's license. I think by the time he's 16 years old in 12 years, he's not going to have a driver's license. He's already going to have an Uber account at that point. And I think Uber's going to take him wherever he needs to go. And I think that Uber will not be, I don't think there's going to be a driver in Uber. I think Uber's going to own those assets I think Uber's going to own those assets. And I don't think that, I don't think there's going to be a driver. Uber likes having drivers now because now Uber doesn't have to own cars. But with this new AB5 rule, making Uber drivers not contractors, but making them employees, well, now Uber has to have the employee. They might as well own the asset, And so I think you're going to have driverless cars. Everybody's going to Uber everywhere. Because of that, now let's take a step further to your original part of your question, which is what happens to the auto shipping industry. You're still going to need to manufacture these assets and deploy them. So you're still going to have to make cars and ship them to where they need to go, and where they need to go may not be car dealership lots, but they might be, taxi lots, where these cars are pooling, waiting for rides. But I also think that you're not going to need nearly as many, because if you look around at how many cars are just parked on the road right now, I own 2 vehicles and neither one of them are in use. One's parked in my garage at home, one parked in my parking lot outside. Okay. That capacity could be used. I use a car I use my Jeep probably 1 hour a day, right? 30 minutes to 30 minutes from work. The other 23 hours of the day, somebody else could be using that car. Now, if you're using a car 23 hours a day, you need a lot fewer cars. Of course, you're going to burn it up a lot quicker too, because you're going to put a lot more miles on it. So it's an interesting idea. So yes, I think car production goes down over time. I don't think we own cars. I don't think that because we don't own cars, we don't have to store cars. We don't have to repair cars. We probably aren't going to be shipping cars. So yes, to answer your question, what happens to Thomas? He is going to be out of work. So anyway, maybe he can run races for a living or something, become a life coach. It'll be interesting to think about all these jobs where people do stuff for a living. So let's take this a step further and look. Okay, well then, are we going to have autonomous vehicles? Are we going to have autonomous trucks? So autonomous trucks exist, and a lot of people don't think they do, but they do. Budweiser shipped beer. I think Kenmore has shipped appliances in them. Yes, I mean they're out there on the road. They still have a driver that helps them get onto and off of the highway, but they're effectively doing all the work. And I think that even the only reason that they're actually even using them to get onto and off the highway is just because people would freak out if they knew that trucks were out there, without drivers. That's going to change. I think in 10 years, I think you're still going to have drivers. I think that they may just captain the truck. In 20 years, it will be fully autonomous with no driver even in the cab. And in 20 years, you may even have these robots that you've seen, like the Boston Engineering Group or whatever, creating these robots that can lift things and run and stuff like that. That's really scary, iRobot stuff. I'm not going to go that far into the future, but I do think in 10 years, you're going to see driverless trucks. They're going to be owned by freight companies. They're not going to be owned by moving companies. I think the over-the-road moving business is going to be primarily freight. So moving companies will access driverless truck capacity through their freight partners. I don't think they're necessarily going to own their own driverless trucks. I think they're going to focus on the OADA work, i.e., the men that pack and load the shipments, and women who are packing and loading the furniture and stuff. Good questions though. Tanya, you've got some really good ones today. Anybody else have any questions out there? I see some people lurking here. Yeah. Yeah, I'd love to hear from people in the moving industry. Like, what are you seeing? What are you suspecting is happening here? One thing I think that the moving industry has been guilty of for a while is trying to convince customers that that they need to be more reasonable with their expectations. And instead of convincing customers that they need to lower their expectations or that they need to understand how household goods are moved, I think we as an industry need to focus more on understanding what customers want, and we need to figure out and engineer solutions to meet those demands and meet those expectations. When we start doing that, we win. When we stop doing that, we lose to companies like Uber, like Amazon. So instead of trying to convince a customer that what they want is unreasonable, we need to say, hey, give me your most unreasonable dream expectation and let me rise to that challenge. And I think that's where we really have an opportunity as an industry. Leave some more questions and comments here. I'd love to hear what you think about am I crazy? Thomas has already been very vocal about the fact that I'm just lies. Does anybody else think I'm lies? Anybody else think I'm crazy? Does anyone else think I just need to get canceled out here? Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, so that's kind of where I'm at. Really would love to hear some more input What does all this mean for relocation? I'll go out and I'll think about that a little bit. I think the relocation industry is evolving. It's turning into the global mobility industry, right? Because people aren't actually relocating as much as they are going on assignment. And I think that we need people's expertise, but we don't need it like full time forever. We need it in small doses. You're seeing a lot more gig economy, a lot more contract workforce. Well, I think you're seeing the same thing in mobility, where you're getting short-term assignments. You're getting business travelers. You're not getting full on long-term relocations. And I think you're seeing a lot more remote workforce. I think all of it's just a lot more temporary. So I think a lot of what was relocation is now going to turn into travel, and I think people are going to have to kind of deal with that. John Zilka, what's up, John? Why is the usage rate percent so low for industry tech platforms? We hear it's all about tech, but I don't see the evidence. Okay, so I have a theory about this, John. Fantastic question. Thank you for teeing this one up. What customers say they want and what they actually want are often two different things. This is actually true for people in general. People say they want technology, but they don't want tech. They want ease of use. And what a lot of people do, a lot of companies do, is they create tech platforms because they need to check the tech box on the RFP or the presentation, or tech is sexy, tech sells, tech has sizzle. But what they don't have is they don't have usability, and they don't have ease of use. And so when you're creating tech for tech's sake, you oftentimes end up over-engineering the process and creating problems. Case in point, the easiest way for you to send me a move is send me an email with the origin and destination in it, and I'll book it, and the furniture will get moved. The worst way to send me a move is send me a link in an email that I have to click on, and then I have to go to your website, and then I have to put in my username, my password, which you make me change every 3 weeks, right, for my own security. Then go in and find that move on your board, and then go in and select it. And then I get a PDF with the details, and then I transcribe those details into my own system. And then I log back in every time I talk to the customer to notate your portal. It's excruciating. It's excruciating. So when we're techifying the process, we need to make sure we're not just creating a whole lot of hoops through which to jump. So that bothers me. Yeah, that bothers me. So my phone is blowing up here. People want to talk. I think I have people I need to move. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. Tanya, John Zucker, my opinion is that the tech and mobility isn't intuitive or user friendly, like how consumers engage with tech outside our industry. Yeah, you know who's got good tech? Google, Amazon. Push a button, get deodorant, right? I mean, that is good tech. We're not doing that. We're doing like clumsy 15-year-old, 20-year-old tech. Like the tech nowadays is like AOL when it came on CDs to my house. Like we got to get better, we got to get a lot better. And what's going to end up happening is Google and Amazon are going to one day wake up, and they're going to want to be in this space, and they're going to be in this space, and their tech is going to be intuitive. And I think that's where we need to get to before they get there. So we need to disrupt ourselves before they decide to disrupt us. Fortunately, the mobility industry is a somewhat niche space, but you're already starting to see the Airbnbs come in. You're already starting to see, some of these tech players come in. Fortunately, they don't really know what they're doing yet. So they haven't really, ousted too many people. But I heard Sully Sullenberger, Miracle on Hudson pilot, say, innovation is disrupting yourself before someone else does. And so I think we need to disrupt ourselves somewhat. So I think that's a great place to leave off here. Man, I'm getting blown up here. Thank you everybody for the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Love to hear your reactions. If you like it, please like, comment, share, so people can kind of hear what's going on. I am going to be starting this Love and Relo series. Love for people to be a part of it. If you've got something to say or you've got something you want to discuss, please hit me up. I am looking for guests to be on this program, either in person or we can video you in and we can have these types of discussions. So please hit me up, let me know, and really appreciate you guys taking time out of your day. We had about 30 of y'all here. So thanks so much. God bless. Take care. Happy holidays.